good, everyone? It's great to be back on the Mayo Media Network. My name's Griffin Swanson, and I'm here to break down the Saturday, May 1st, NHL DFS slate with you. Now, we got 13 games on this slate here, an absolutely beautiful slate, a lot to love about it. Take a look here in the top left-hand corner. You can see a handful of games coming in with an implied total of at least 6 goals, so definitely some games with some shootout potential here. Take a look down here at the Vegas odds as well. Some heavy favorites on this 13-game slate, so we can definitely see some lopsided games as well. Now, before we dive into my favorite line stacks and individual plays, if you could hit that like and subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate that. Pat and his team are posting content all week long. You don't want to miss out on any of that. And for you podcast people, you can head on over to the Apple Pods as well. Find all the content there. While you're at it, leave a 5-star review. And of course, gonna talk a little Prize Picks with you here today. For those of you who aren't familiar with Prize Picks, you gotta check it out. And if you haven't signed up yet and you want to do so, make sure you use code MMN for up to a $100 match deposit. It's free money. You might as well take advantage of that. There's a handful of sports that you can play out there. Obviously, we focus in on the NHL for this video here, but that doesn't limit you on Prize Picks. You certainly have the freedom to do any sport, any fantasy score, and some single stats as well. Now, what Prize Picks is going to do is they're going to list out a handful of players for this 13-game slate and assign them to a fantasy score. What you need to do is pick the over or the under on that fantasy score, and here's how players can rack up points. 4 different ways. You get 3 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist, half a point for a shot on net, and half a point for a block shot. That's it. So it's super straightforward. Again, all you need to do is pick the over or the under on the fantasy score. Now, some of you might be asking, okay, well, what about the single props then? How does that work? Exact same concept. What Prize Picks does for hockey is list out a handful of save props for goalies and shot props for players. All you need to do is pick the over or the under on those shot props. Very similar to the player props that you see on any betting site. This is more DFS related, but you certainly have the freedom to do single stats as well. So I got my eye on a couple of player Prize Picks here for this 13-game slate. If you want to see who I got my money on, head on over to the Mayo Media Network Twitter account. Check out my picks there. Again, if you haven't signed up yet and you want to do so, make sure you use code MMN for up to a $100 match deposit. But all right, folks, time to dive into this spreadsheet here. So we're going to kick it off with my favorite line stacks here, as always. Now, look, it's a 13-game slate. There's so much to love about this slate here. A lot of different line stacks, pairings, and just individual studs that we can target. These are just some of the best players that are sticking out to me. So the first line that I like here is that first line out of Colorado. Likely still going to be popular on this 13-game slate because they've played so well here, really dating back to early March, and you could argue that they've been one of the best lines in hockey all season. Very talented, so much upside here. 3 guys that play big minutes, play on the top power play as well. We got Nathan MacKinnon centering Gabriel Landeskog and Mikko Rantanen. Now look, they just played together for the first time on Friday night after battling COVID issues for a handful of weeks there. Nathan MacKinnon and Landeskog have been okay for the past few games, but Mikko Rantanen was one of those players who had to sit out a little extra time, but he was back, had 2 assists in the first period against the San Jose Sharks, looking like the Mikko Rantanen we're accustomed to watching. Now this line, like I said, was playing lights out prior to that COVID pause. You can see the 3 have combined for 16 goals, 24 assists, 40 points in their past 10 games. They have a great matchup at home here against the San Jose Sharks, who allow 3.39 goals per game this season, the 5th most in the NHL. The next line stack that I like here, we should definitely be able to get at lower ownership. It's going to be that first line for the Carolina Hurricanes. We got Sebastian Aho centering Andrei Svechnikov and Teuvo Teravainen. Now, these 3 have a great matchup at home as well against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Teravainen's only played 2 games since returning from injury, but he did have 1 goal and 1 assist in his last game, so he looks like he's okay, and a very affordable price here at $4,600. You can see Aho and Svech have been playing pretty well themselves over the past 10, combining for 7 goals, 15 assists, 22 points during that 10-game stretch. All 3 of these guys are going to play on the power play. You're going to see Aho and Svech play on the first power play, whereas Teravainen plays on the second. But all 3 of these guys play big minutes, so I'm willing to justify Teravainen here at that price of $4,600. Look, he's only played 2 games since returning from injury, but we've seen chemistry between these 3 in the past, and again, have a great matchup at home here against the Columbus Blue Jackets. All right, now hopping on down here to my favorite favorite individual plays. We're going to kick it off with the forwards, first being Connor McDavid. It's hard not to talk about this guy who has 84 points in 48 games this year. Yeah, everyone's aware of who Connor McDavid is, but do you know his numbers against the Calgary Flames this year? Because they've been very good. Now, he's got 20 points in his past 10 games first and foremost, averaging about 20 DraftKings points per game, and he's got 15 points in 9 games against the Calgary Flames this year, averaging about 3 shots per game, which is ultimately translated to about 18 DraftKings points per game against the Flames. So 2 times the value, even though he's very expensive here at $9,200. We know he plays big minutes, plays on that top power play, and legit has 3, 4, even 5 times the upside here at $9,200. I know that sounds crazy, but if one guy can do it, it's Connor McDavid. Now, on the other side of that Edmonton game, I like Elias Lindholm here for the Calgary Flames. Really kind of one guy keeping the Flames' hopes alive to make the playoffs this year, and he's played some phenomenal hockey here over his past 10 games, racking up 8 goals, 4 assists, 12 points, during that 10-game stretch, averaging about 3 shots per game, which is ultimately translated to about 16 DraftKings points per game as well. So he's playing good hockey here, has double-digit DraftKings points in 9 of his last 10, plays big minutes, plays on that first line, and plays on that first power play, and very affordable here at $6,000 for a guy that has 12 points in his past 10 games and double-digit DraftKings points in 9 of his last 10. The next guy I got here then is Sam Bennett. It's funny how DFS works. Last week, just last Saturday, I highlighted Sam Bennett as the low-priced option at $3,300. Now he's $5,500, a $2,200 price increase, and for all the right reasons, but it just goes to show you how much a player can change in the matter of 1 week. Sam Bennett has been playing phenomenal for the Florida Panthers ever since being traded there. He's got 5 goals, 9 assists, 14 points in his past 10 games, averaging about 3.5 shots per game, which is ultimately translated to about 15.5 DraftKings points during that 10-game stretch. So averaging 15.5 DraftKings points per game is phenomenal, and he's really just taken his game to the next level with his new team. He didn't play on the power play to start, but he's played so well. He's made his way all the way up to that first power play. He centers that second line. I don't mind a little pairing with him and Jonathan Huberdeau. I loved a line stack with Duclair on the right wing as well, but now he's playing on the first line with Barkov. Either way, Bennett has been lights out with his new team. Yeah, he's $2,200 more expensive than what we got him for last week, but I'm still going to play him at this price. The numbers don't lie, and Bennett's have been great as of late. And then wrapping up the forward plays here with TJ Oshie. Now look, Oshie's just kind of always had a thing for beating up on the Pittsburgh Penguins. I know that series has been tight here really ever since Crosby and Ovechkin came into the league, but ever since they've traded for TJ Oshie, which was years ago now, he always just gets up for these games against the Pittsburgh Penguins. I would know, I'm wearing a Penguins shirt right now, and Oshie plays well against those guys. So I like him at this price tag here of $5,000. I certainly don't let bias get in the way when it comes to NHL DFS. Oshie's got 6 goals, 4 assists, 10 points in his past 10 games, averaging about 11.5 DraftKings points per game, and he's averaging about 10 DraftKings points per game against the Penguins this year, 5 points in 7 games. Plays on that second line. I really like that second line actually with him, Backstrom, and Anthony Mantha. You're going to see Oshie play on that first power play as well, and very affordable here for a guy that's averaging double-digit DraftKings points over his past 10 and against the Penguins this year. So I like him here. I like him anytime he plays Pittsburgh, so I'll go back to him once again. Moving on over to the defenseman here. I certainly don't mind paying up for defensemen on this slate. With bigger slates like this, I usually pay up for forwards, pay down for defensemen. But again, a lot to love about this slate in general. So if you do pay up for forward, there's a lot of great options there. One guy like Shea Theodore here at $6,700, who has 1 goal, 11 assists, 12 points in his past 10 games, averaging about 3.5 shots per game as well, which is ultimately translated to about 15 DraftKings points during that 10-game stretch. He's got double-digit DraftKings points in 7 of his past 10, and in one of those games hit 9.5 DraftKings points. They could argue 8 out of his last 10 games, he's hit that double-digit DraftKings mark. Plays big minutes, plays on that first power play, and I like the matchup here against the Coyotes. And Shea Theodore has really just been a player who's only gotten better as the season has gone on. And we're seeing Vegas play really good hockey right now, had a 10-game win streak heading into Friday night. So the Vegas Golden Knights as a whole and Shea Theodore individually, playing really well to close out the 2021 regular season. Now, just like Sam Bennett, I highlighted Mackenzie Weegar for the Florida Panthers last Saturday as well at $3,500. Now he's $5,100, a $1,600 price increase, so he's playing some good hockey here as of late too. 1 goal, 7 assists, 8 points in his past 10 games. He's played so well, just like Bennett. He's made his way onto that second power play. Bennett's on the first power play, but hey, I'll take any power play time that these guys can get. Weegar's a guy that can rack up DraftKings points a number of different ways. Averages about 2 shots per game, averages about 2 block shots per game. All of those numbers have translated to him racking up about 11 DraftKings points per game over his past 10. Plays solid minutes, plays on the penalty kill, and now gets on the power play too. So I still like him at this price tag of $5,100 in a good matchup against the Chicago Blackhawks. And then if you do want to save a little bit of money at the defenseman position, one guy who stuck out to me below 4K is Dmitry Orlov. Really took him quite a bit to get going this season, but has played well over the past handful of weeks. Has 3 goals, 5 assists, 8 points in his past 10 games, averaging about 2.5 shots per game, which is translated to about 9.5 DraftKings points per game over his past 10. So what, 2.5 times the value here at his price tag of $3,700. Very close to double-digit DraftKings points, and he's been able to do that in 4 of his past 10. Any guy below 4K that can get you double-digit DraftKings points is going to stick out to me. Orlov has been able to do that here. Like I said, playing some good hockey over the past few weeks, and a guy who's going to play anywhere from 20 to 22 minutes, so pretty good ice time for a guy priced this low as well. And I like this matchup always against the Penguins. There's definitely some shootout potential when these two teams play. And then I got a couple of goaltender options here for you as well, a higher priced and lower priced option. My higher priced option is going to be Marc-Andre Fleury for the Vegas Golden Knights. You know, I mentioned it earlier. Vegas has a 10-game win streak heading into Friday night, just playing phenomenal hockey as an entire team. The forwards, the defensemen, and 2 really good goaltenders. Flowers won all 5 of his last starts, topping double-digit DraftKings points in all 5 of those games, and he's 3-0 against the Coyotes this year, averaging 18.2 DraftKings points per game against the Yotes. So yeah, he's expensive here at $8,300, but considering the way Vegas is playing right now and the way Fleury's played against the Yotes, I think he should be closer to $8,600, so I'll definitely take him at $8,300. Now, if I do want to save a little bit of money, I like UC Soros here at $7,500. Nashville as a team hasn't been as good as of late. They were playing some good hockey a few weeks ago, but UC Soros continues to play good hockey, and I do like him at this price tag here. Really, just look at the record he's had at home this year with a 13-3-0 record, averaging 18.6 DraftKings points per game. So if you want to save a little dough, you can play this guy in cash or GPPs. I'm 100% okay with either route, and I know that's not always the case for these lower price goaltenders. Sometimes it's GPP only for me, but I would be comfortable playing Soros in cash as well. And as always, wrapping up the video here with my low priced option or sub 4K forward play. There were a lot of different plays I could have went with, but I'm going to go with a guy that's played well since returning from injury, Kasperi Kapanen, playing on that second line and second power play for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I do like this price tag here of $3,300 for a guy that has double-digit DraftKings points in 3 of his last 5 games. And that's what he's played, 5 games since returning from injury. Any guy below 4K, I just mentioned it, that can get you double-digit DraftKings points is going to stick out to me. He's coming off a game where he just scored 2 goals, and I'm going to like Kapanen even better if Evgeny Malkin plays in this game here. Not 100% sure he will. He hasn't played in, I think, 22 games now, but he has been practicing full contact, and there is a chance that he plays here on Saturday. So if he plays, I like Kapanen even more. The chemistry between those two was very real before both of them got injured, and I'm hoping they can pick up on that right away again. All right, everyone, that's going to wrap up the video here for today. As always, thank you all for taking the time out of your day to watch these videos. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Pat and his team are posting content at the Mayo Media Network all week long. You don't want to miss out on any of that. And again, for those of you who want to sign up for Prize Picks, make sure you use code MMN for up to a $100 match deposit. But folks, let's have a great weekend. Let's win some money on this Saturday slate. I'm out of here.